Hi, my name is Bobby Holcomb. I am today interviewing our Knoxville legend, Hall of Fame, Ethan Coffey. This is probably one of my favorite interviews of the year, just because one, he's a personal friend of mine. I've known him since roughly '08, '07, I guess, maybe even a little earlier than that, '06 timeframe. But getting to know Ethan this last, a lot of years, a lot of memories have been made just hanging around with this guy, running with this guy. Has been wonderful. He's been a wonderful asset to our Knoxville Track Club community. Really have enjoyed having him a part of our community. The impact that he has made on our community is remarkable. There's so many things that are going on today within our running community in the Knoxville area that has been impacted very, very heavily by Ethan. And we're going to kind of dive into that here shortly. Reason why I bring him on here today, he's our final interview of the summer, of our series of interviews we've had all summer long. He's our final one of the year. We may actually flirt around in the fall, but closing out the youth athletics summer preseason this weekend, we wanted to kind of go with Ethan because we wanted to paint a nice little picture on every one of you right now are training throughout this entire summer, that all of our youth program athletes that are building for the fall, both in cross country and possibly even building for another sport like soccer, swimming. We do have some other athletes in other sports, but one of the unique things about Ethan, growing up, he went to Chantilly High School up in Virginia. He was there from 1997 through 2001. He ran cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track all 4 years. Now, the one thing about Ethan, and he'll even tell you this on every single run, is he was not the best runner on the team. He was not the best runner in the state, but he loved the sport. He loved going to practice every single day. He loved pounding the mileage. His PRs were 424 and 944. Now, a lot of you guys, today's times are just getting absolutely remarkable. And these, a lot of people, the first thing they do is they look in, I want to be so good. I want to go Division I. I want to go to one of the best schools and run for an SEC, ACC, Pac-10, Big Ten program. But Ethan, right out of high school, he went on and went into mechanical engineering at Carnegie Mellon from 2001 to 2005. He took what he gained in high school and went on and ran in college all 4 years, cross country, indoor, and outdoor track. And then shortly after, had a wonderful experience for the last 8 years, just enjoying the journey of being a runner, of being a part of a program, being a part of a team. Still to this day, Ethan, do you still keep in touch with all your teammates, a lot of your teammates from high school or college? Still keeps in touch with them to this day. Still remarkable friends with probably a lot of them, and probably even ran with them on a couple occasions in the past 10 years after college. Went on to the Navy. He got his master's at Georgia Institute while he was in the Navy. He was a nuclear instructor while he was in the Navy during that entire time frame. So he took advantage of that, took his running even into the Navy, still continued to run, and probably just kept active. But once he got out of the Navy, that's when he moved into Knoxville. That's when the impact, roughly around 2009, is when he moved here. And actually made a huge impact right off the bat, got into the running community, and he took everything that he had in high school, college, and started to now pounding into the pro sector. And what I mean by the pro, he came here right off the bat, competing with the local talent, the local athletes in this area. And then eventually just start working his way up, and little by little. And then in 2014, this guy who comes into town, finishes top 5 in a lot of our races, now ends up becoming the US 50K champion. It was a USATF certified event. He ended up being the 50K champ. His time was 2:53. And for some of y'all at home that don't understand, what 50K, that's 31 miles. He averaged 5:35 per mile in a 50K race. That's how much aerobic machine monster power that he gained after he was in the Navy, and he started just piling on 90, 100-mile weeks. And next thing you know, he's going against some of the best pros in the country, and he ends up becoming a 50K champion. He goes out to the California International Marathon, where he ends up running a 2:19. He was just shy of the current qualifying standard, even though he hit pretty much every single year's qualifying standard for the Olympic trials. But he was just shy of just getting the Olympic trials by just a couple seconds. And then Knoxville Marathon, 3-time champion. That's a huge one around here. A lot of people recognize seeing Ethan in the newspapers, social media, but he was a 3-time champion. And one of the impressive parts, if you've never run the Knoxville Marathon, is probably one of the most brutal courses in the eastern half of the United States. It is a really tough course. Remarkable time of 2:22, and that's roughly around 5:24 pace. What do you end up averaging at the Knoxville Marathon? Really, really impressive. 5K, 14:53, and 1:07 for a half marathon. Now he's taken all of that running knowledge, high school, college, pro career. He still does he does some mini ultras. He'll do some help out people like Badwater. Some of y'all don't know what that is. Go research that. He does go help out people finish the Badwater race. He does a lot of relays with teams, but his contribution to the running community goes, now he owns a retail shop. It's a athletic apparel boutique shop that really takes care of runners. They do have running shoes. They do have running apparel. It's called The Long Run. So I know if you Google Long Run, it's on Sutherland Avenue. Wonderful place to go. They have group runs every single week on Tuesday nights at 5:30. And he does pretty much a group run every morning at 5:30 a.m. If you want to just happen to show up to the Long Run at 5:30 a.m., you may actually pop into him and actually see him running with the boys. And great group of people. But what you've done, Ethan, has been phenomenal. And what we brought you here today, this whole huge long intro, so I apologize for the long intro leading into it. I want to go back to your high school, and I want to hear, your thoughts and process when, give us the ranking you were on your team, say your junior, senior year, and what your mindset was going to that next level, finding a new school that you're going to go to and feel comfortable with and feels comfortable with your setting. Tell us a little bit about all that journey.
Okay. So yeah, I grew up, Chantilly High School is in Fairfax County. And so class of 2001, Fairfax County, I was racing against Alan Webb, who, ran a 3:53 mile. He would show up at dual meets, and other guys who ended up going, 9-minute 2-milers. So I knew, even this is kind of like early days, like DieStat. You could kind of see some stuff online from nationally, but even without that, I knew, I was not at the time, anything special. I was doing what I could and working hard and trying to stay consistent. But for me, breaking 4:30 in the mile was huge. At the time, that actually did put me number one on my team. But, I knew that I wasn't the best in the county, even in the, I was still looking at some D1 schools. I looked at Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. I was mostly focused on finding somewhere where I'd be happy, not just in running, but also in school and day-to-day life. So I ended up at Carnegie Mellon because when I went and met with the coach there, so nothing against Virginia Tech, but just for example, when I went and talked to the coach at Virginia Tech, he asked what I wanted to do, and I said I was going to be an engineer, and he said, well, you're going to either have to choose running or engineering. You can't do both. And I was like, Yeah, I don't think he's at Virginia Tech anymore, so I'm not. Um,
Yeah.
but when I went to Carnegie Mellon, I met with the coach there. Uh, everyone on the team is an engineer, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll have we have study groups, and we have people are taking tests on the bus. We've got proctors, and it was a completely different mindset. So yeah, I mean, so in high school, I just kind of focused on just trying to hit my own goals. I started when I was a freshman. My goal was to break 5 minutes in the mile, and at our district meet, I ran 4:53. And then each year I tried to get a little faster. I ran 4:40 something as a sophomore. I think I was injured outdoor as a junior, and then senior year I was able to break 4:30. I'd say my 9:44 should have been a little faster. I ran that at our conference meet where it was a kind of a tactical race. But so, and then when I was looking at schools, again, I could have probably gone to a D1 school, but I wanted to look at the overall balance, and I heard, from other people about jumping right into higher mileage. I was low mileage. I would run maybe 25, 30 miles a week in high school.
As a senior?
I think summer before senior year, I maxed out. No. Summer before freshman year of college, I ran my first ever 50-mile week.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was probably like in season, probably 25, 30 miles, normally maybe up to 40 sometimes. So I was in the big picture, I had a feeling, that if I tried to jump into the deep end right away, it probably wouldn't work out well for my overall longevity. So
it was important for you to be a student athlete right off the bat. I mean, you're
absolutely, yeah.
You're focused.
Yeah, I knew, again, as knowing where I was on the running talent totem pole, I was not going to be a professional runner. So the most important thing was finding somewhere where I would be comfortable as a student, but also as an athlete. Yeah.
And that's important because, we find this, like we were just talking about a second ago about everybody wants to go D1 and want to run the fastest times. But your experience once you get into college, kind of elaborate on that a little bit now when you get into the college ranks. And yes, you're not at a D1 going against, you're not at Syracuse, and you're in that general vicinity where I guess University of Maryland and all these other Big Ten schools, I think are all up there, Villanova, Georgetown, and you got all these schools that are within a couple hours of you, and Virginia Tech and Virginia, but you're at a school that you get to actually go after the education you want to go after, but you get to also keep running, and you get to keep playing your sport. Tell us a little bit about that entire college experience.
I mean, it was incredible. So the team aspect was great. Like you said, I've got guys I keep in touch with, from that I met 20, 25 years ago on the team in Pittsburgh. And it was everyone was there. We were serious about running. We did have guys running 100+ mile weeks. We went and we did our doubles and we did our workouts, and but we were also made sure that we got our schoolwork accomplished, and everyone was focused on getting good grades. And if you had to miss practice because you had a test or had homework to do, it was understood that you would either run on your own or you'd make it up some other way. And the coaches were all sympathetic towards us having well-rounded lives. So I did not have much of a social life, I'll say that. I didn't. I've gotten to enjoy Pittsburgh a lot more going back now that I'm not in school. There's
Yeah.
a lot of cool stuff to see in Pittsburgh. I didn't go to a single, I was there for 4 years. I didn't go to a single Pirates game, Steelers game, or Penguins game. The whole 4 years I was there, because my weekends were pretty much taken up with, meets and schoolwork.
What division is Carnegie Mellon?
It's Division III. Yeah. So Division III, they don't have any athletic scholarships. And that was really actually a blessing, because your ability to stay in school was not dependent on how you performed in track. It was, I had academic scholarships, but the pressure was the only pressure I felt was from myself to run what I thought I could run, and from my teammates, cross country, not letting the team down or whatever. But it was never like from coaches saying, well, if you don't run this time, we're going to take your scholarship away.
Now, going to a D3 school, did you have opportunities to actually run against D1, D2, and NAIA?
Oh yeah,
schools?
Yeah. So
what the experience was like?
I think it's changed a little bit with like the regional qualification purposes and stuff. You've got rankings of races and stuff. But yeah, we used to run against Syracuse. Sometimes, yeah, like you said, Georgetown, Pitt, Penn State. They were all at the same races as us. So, if you were fast enough, it doesn't matter where you go. You'll be in the big races. You'll get to race against top competition. Even D3 at the top end, especially now. Look at the times.
Crazy.
Very few people aren't going to find someone to race against. Even at the D3 level.
And that's something. Carnegie Mellon is like one of the top schools in the country. I think if I read somewhere before, please correct me if I'm wrong, top 10 school in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. And going there, being able to succeed academically, but then you get to also continue to run, and you're running at a D3 school, but you continue to actually run against D1 competition that you probably got to run against some of your peers that were upper echelon runners in high school. You probably saw them again at meets later down the road.
Yeah.
I would, and I think that's one of the remarkable things about some of these student athletes now. It's like when you look into, there are a lot of opportunities out there for you to go to D2, D3, and get remarkable amount of support. You probably get more attention by the coach, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. The team's probably smaller. I've never felt like I was never the top guy on the team at Carnegie Mellon. But I never felt like I was neglected or I didn't get the support that anyone else was getting.
And so you go to Carnegie Mellon, you got your degree, and you go on to the Navy as thank you for your services for what you were in for 4 years in the Navy as a nuclear, instructor. Talk about that a little bit. That sounds like a big deal.
Well, yeah, it's honestly probably about the cushiest job you can have in the military. So, they still, though, they have a hard time recruiting for that job specifically, because usually engineers can get more money in the private sector than they can working for the military. So yeah, I spent 4 years in Charleston, South Carolina. Didn't get deployed at all. As I'd like to tell people, all my sea time was on Carnival cruise ships. That's when I got into marathon training. So I ran my 1453 5K came in college. And once I got out of college and I was on my own, it was a lot harder to kind of focus. The kind of running you have to do to continue to get better at those shorter distances is a lot harder to do by yourself. I was running a lot. So I figured to just focus on, building my base mileage, getting into marathons, because I wanted to kind of see what I could do in the marathon in the longer world.
And that you have succeeded at very well. You moved to Knoxville after you spent that stint in Charleston, and then you come to Knoxville Now you're in the professional world. You know, you've gotten your degree. You work at, if I recall right now, at the ORNL. That was the one thing I did not write down, is where you're actually currently employed at. But you're now really heavily involved in the running community. You work at ORNL, but you also, you and Julia own the Long Run together. And talk about the impact. You know, what made you want to get started on the Long Run? What made you you're in the running community for like 7-8 years. I kind of want to paint this picture for everybody at home. He's running from 09 to basically 19 on his own. What made you create this? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start selling some apparel, but I want a meeting place.
Well, I think that's so it's more than just the store. If you ever stop by, we've got patio space. We're right by the greenway. We've got showers and lockers, and so we've got a big open kind of we call it the tap room.
Yeah,
because we have some local beers on tap, but it's also just like a seating area where you can come in and hang out. We got pretty much any running book you can think of in our little library. You can just check out a book and read it. You can even check it out and take it home if you want to. So it is kind of like a hub in terms of just coming and hanging out, talk about running, talk about, whatever you want to. But at the same time, I've been going out, for instance, to California International Marathon out in Sacramento. And I saw this brand Rabbit that had really nice materials, and I couldn't find anywhere to buy it. And, I was ending up kind of starting to order stuff online, and it doesn't fit right. And sending it back is a hassle, so you don't send it back. And it's just sitting there in your closet until you decide to do something with it.
Yeah.
And there were several brands like that where we were like, most running stores, shoes are important, but clothing kind of starts to get neglected. And Julia and I both had this kind of the same experience with buying stuff online. And so we thought it might be a good thing to bring to the community. So not just, the hub, the meeting space, the space to do runs from and stuff like that, but also somewhere where you could go try out some of these brands that you see on, Facebook ads, but you don't really want it. You don't know what size you are. You don't know how the shorts fit, stuff like that.
And a lot of you guys, this goes to the parents and the kids. One thing we have a tough time in running in our running community is if you're heavily involved in the sport, it's hard to find your people. It's hard to find people to relate with. You can't just go to work and all of a sudden you're going to start talking splits. You're talking a foreign language basically to your coworker, or you may go to a family reunion and you may be one of out of 40 people at the family reunion that run. So I went on a 5-mile run this morning, and the most common thing you're going to always hear is, well, I wouldn't even run to the mailbox and back, or something of that nature. And so it's hard to have a relation and talk to somebody about something that's your passion for you. Where you come to Long Run, you've got two very passionate people that just love the sport. You got somewhere to bounce ideas. You got somewhere to ask questions about area greenways or area races, you could just walk in and just be at home and sit at the chairs and have a beverage and just talk for almost 30, 40 minutes about everything. And that's what's so wonderful about your place is that, you could be a high school state champion or middle of the pack person, or you could be just starting running as an adult or whatever. You can come in and actually talk about your journey. And, Ethan and Julia are going to be there to listen, and they're going to be there to actually give advice, give, pointers, or lead you in the right direction of some point. And that's valuable in our sport, to have a place like that. Because there's places in town that sell items that are for running purposes, but there's not places in town where you can just walk in and have knowledgeable people there to talk about the sport. And and heck, you guys have even hosted what marathon parties to watch the marathon and track trials and so on. And so
yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that. I mean, people come by on, you know, Sunday or Saturday after the long run just to talk about how their long run went and you know, talk about how the training is going and ask feedback on, you know, what they've got coming up and what I think about where their training program is headed. And you know, I love, Julia and I both love just sitting down and talking to people about all this stuff.
And for some of y'all that don't know Julia and I actually go to high school together. We went to the same high school in Jamestown, Tennessee, in Fentress County. You may have to, I don't even know if Apple still has that on their map stuff here still. And it may be on there if you ever Google it, but we go way back. So knowing both of them and what a wonderful job you guys have done with the store, the running community, your journey, you know, leading up to this point is a wonderful story. It definitely does. I hope it never goes unrecognized because it's phenomenal what you've done for our area around here. We really appreciate it. Ethan, thank you for your time today. I appreciate everything. If you stop by the long run, can you give us the exact address? I know it's Sutherland Avenue, but the numbers.
2452. It's right across from Young Williams.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ethan. You're probably going to see him. I think his next journey now is heading into the trail ultra world, if I'm not mistaken. So even though he still dabbles and goes and does a mile race every now and then or a 5K. Matter of fact, a quick story real quick before we get off here. He twisted his ankle twice on a run that him and I went on together. I didn't think he was going to make it back, and he still drops a 15:30 the next day on after.
I think it was a 15:45.
Oh, okay. 15:30 sounded great though. I don't think anybody was going to Google check me, but it was remarkable how he bounces back from, and that's what mileage does for you. You can definitely, when you accumulate so much, you know, a quick recovery and boom, it's always going to be there. And you've done a great job of creating that aerobic power. So congrats to you all. Thank you everybody for your time. Hope you enjoy, and hopefully our next session of, you know, interview, maybe 5 months down the road, could be next year. We'll wait and see, but thank you for taking the time to listening, and we'll talk to you all soon.